Hey, Jeff Gibbons here with another YouTube video, a little break from my music tech kind of videos. In this one, I'm going to be showing specifically musicians how to record decent looking video with an iPhone and zero budget. So first let's get into setting up the camera. So whether that's on your phone, your iPad, your laptop, make sure that you check the settings that you've got on it. Just try and get the highest resolution that you can get on your device. I'm using the iPhone XS Max. That one goes up to 4K footage as long as I'm using the back camera. So that means you can't see yourself when you're playing, which also means that you're gonna have to have somebody else to help you frame up the shot unless you wanna, press record and sit down and make an adjustment, go back and look at it. If not, then go ahead, use the front camera, do what you gotta do. So, settings on the camera. You make sure you are at the highest resolution possible, so that's going to be 4K on a lot of phones these days, and it's going to be 1080p on most other phones. And the next thing is to choose the frame rate. What frame rate refers to is how many frames are happening per second. What we shoot at as filmmakers is 24p, so 24 frames per second, and that's got a bit of a stuttery look to it, but it's something that we like. Once you get up to 30 frames per second, you're getting into the soap opera realm. The other option is to shoot at 60 frames or 60p, and that is an even more fluid sort of look. Another thing to consider is what are you going to put your iPhone on? Now, you can go to Amazon or the dollar store and probably find some kind of little iPhone holder for very cheap. And that would be my recommendation. Probably the safest because it has some way of securing the phone. We went and looked at a video by CNET, and they've done a couple of really neat ideas. Taken a yogurt container and cut a little slit in it and then place the iPhone in that. So next thing to choose is your location. And in this room, it's not ideal. We have laminate flooring everywhere. We don't have great lighting. We have one big window right here and not a lot of other windows. So it means that my face is bright on one side and dark on the other, but trying to get side lighting is going to be the most pleasing. What I'd recommend not doing is filming in front of the windows. I'm going to be backlit, especially if it's a really bright sunny day. So try and set yourself up sideways to your window so that side of your face is lit, and you'll get some nice shadow, and that will make you look better. If you have another window on the other side, that'll help as well. In this case, I don't really. The other thing to think about is time of day, so make sure you don't have sunlight burning out part of your face or your shot in some way. So sunlight on the wall behind me would be super bright in comparison to everything else. Another thing to think about is something called white balance. And white balance is something that refers to the color temperature of light. The way it works is that daylight, sunlight, and even cloudy, overcast light is a certain color temperature compared to the lights inside your house. You'd notice that this light behind me is a tungsten light, and so it's got a very warm quality compared to this kind of bluer light that's coming in from the window from the daylight outside. This light behind me actually looks quite nice in comparison to the blue light coming in, but if I had a whole bunch of tungsten light on this side of my face and then the blue light on this side, that's when things start to get kind of ugly. And sometimes your camera compensates for it so that the yellow light goes more to a pure white, but that means your outside light now is blue. So this is a scenario where you don't have natural light. Maybe you're in a room that doesn't have any windows. That's the only room you can record in. Then you have to rely on the lights in your house. And as you can see right now, I'm top lit and it doesn't look great. The shadows just don't look flattering and all of that kind of stuff. My nose looks kind of weird. So here we've just got some lamps kind of in close proximity to the side, lighting up the side of my face. And you might want to light one side of your face brighter than the other. That's something we generally try to do as professionals. So let's just see what it looks like when we turn these lights off and these lights on. So there we go, a much more flattering image. The next thing we need to think about is camera placement. As far as height goes, is try and get your camera fairly close to head height. And that's going to give you the most pleasing shot. You don't want a super low shot looking up your nose, and we also don't want to go too far top down. That's just going to look kind of awkward. Get that camera up about head height and it's going to feel a lot more natural. You're going to look a lot better. As far as traditional framing goes, us videographers like to use the rule of thirds, and that means you split up the whole frame into thirds this way and to thirds this way. And what we'll often do is place people on the third. If it is a situation where I'm playing trumpet, I may position my body and my head on the third so that the trumpet is going into the negative space, and that is going to look pleasing. But we might not have the luxury of space for that, so you just have to look at your shot and try not to have too much dead space on one side or the other. And then also think about head space. If you're getting a wide shot, you want to make sure that you have a bit of headspace above you. It gives you some room to move. But another thing to think about is this actually going to be a head-on shot right in the middle? Right now, I'm framed in the middle. And we'll do that often if we are doing some kind of instructional video where we are speaking straight to the camera. Now, in terms of audio, this is where things get a little bit ugly without using actual microphones. Because the problem is you want to be able to see yourself in the video, which means you need to have the camera far back enough, but the farther you move the camera back, the more room noise you're going to have. And by room noise, I mean echo, and maybe other things like the refrigerator or the lawnmowers. You need that camera to be at the perfect ratio of closeness to you and still be able to see what's happening. We've done a few tests where we set the camera up at 5 feet away and then 3.5 feet. We find that with the regular lens on the iPhone, around 3.5 feet is kind of a nice distance in terms of being able to see a lot of the musician, but also still getting the phone close enough so that you're getting decent audio. If you are doing something like singing, you can have that phone even closer, but just be aware that the closer it is, the more of your face and all of that kind of stuff you're going to see. And then of course, don't forget about personal grooming. If you got a big chunk of spinach in your teeth, you're not going to love that video down the road. So thanks for watching. Hopefully that gives you a good idea of how to film yourself and your musical performance with your own device without getting any fancy gear in there. So hit the subscribe button and check into my old videos, see what I've got in there, and we'll see you in the next video.